Hello, this is Samsai again, and welcome to Caves of Cod. Some time ago I did a bit of a Let's Play series thing on Dungeon Crawl Stone Soup, which is one of the fairly few roguelikes that I actively play, and I've been wondering if I should bring that back. It did get some decent viewership and people seem to like it, so I've been wondering if I should bring that kind of content back. But I decided that instead of doing a little bit more of Dungeon Crawl Stone Soup, I would do another roguelike that I quite like, which is Caves of Cod. Note that I am not necessarily all that great at this game. I've played this game for about 12-ish hours total. By roguelike terms, that's basically nothing. But I do enjoy this quite a bit, and while I'm not necessarily all that great at it, I decided that I would do a couple of runs of this at least. We're probably not going to make it far, and I'm most definitely not promising that we are going to be getting through this game at all. But I imagine we can get a couple of decent runs out of this, and it might be cool. I recently did a bit of a testing round because I was wondering about getting back to Caves of Cod, and I did actually play decently well. Did better than I have ever before, so I figured I think I'm good enough at this game to take it for a bit of a spin on the YouTubes and stuff like that, with me of course as well. So let's start a new game, and like I mentioned, if you are here to, find cool Caves of Cod gameplay strategies and whatnot, not the right video, I think you might want to look for a guide instead. I'm most definitely fairly new to this game still, and I still get a whole bunch of stuff wrong, and we're probably going to die. But then again, that's basically roguelikes for you. Let's start a new game. So I am probably going to, we're most definitely going to create a new character rather than roll, because rolling a random character in this game can end your runs pretty damn easily. We're also not going to do weeklies or dailies. How about that? So let's create a new character. So a little bit of backstory on Caves of Cod. So basically this is a roguelike set in a sort of a post-apocalyptic world. It's quite a bit after the apocalypse, so there are still ruins around, and there has been a very, very high-tech civilization that has then crumbled into dust, and basically now the land is mostly littered with mutants and and also some robots and things like that. And we have two choices here. We can either play a mutant, or we can play a Truekin. Basically, the Truekin are unmutated humans that have particularly high starting attributes. The Truekin are, in my opinion, a little bit easier to play, at least in the beginning, though the mutants do get some bonuses. Some of the mutations are really cool. We might do a run with the mutants at some point, but for now I think I'm going to go with the Truekin because I feel like I am more I'm more capable when I play a Truekin, because they get good starting equipment, they get high starting attributes, and we kind of may need that because we are otherwise going to die very easily. Okay, and then we get to put our points into the various kinds of things. So first of all, this game, like many other roguelikes, is quite punishing, so you can very, very easily die. So I'm going to do the smart thing of just pumping up my my toughness, let's put it at 23. I might even want to put it up to 24 actually, because we kind of need those hit points. Currently with toughness 24 we get 24 hit points plus possibly some benefits from our actual class. So I think I'm going to go with a strength-focused build a little bit. Let's actually just let's push up some of these stats that I kind of like. For example, intelligence is very good because it allows you to examine artifacts that you can find. That way we can instead of having an inventory full of weird artifacts, we have like sun grenades and stuff like that. Willpower and ego are not necessarily like willpower is resistance to mental attacks, and as far as I know, like at least in the beginning, mental attacks are fairly rare. It does modify hit point regeneration, which is good, but like I don't think I'm going to push that up too much. And ego is potency of mental mutations, which we have none. Ability to haggle is good, because then we can obviously get more stuff for less. But I think I'm going to leave these at fairly low values. I'm going to boost up my ego a little bit, so that I can get maybe a little bit better deals. I need to push up that intelligence a little bit more. And I may actually push up the agility a little bit as well, because it affects the accuracy of your attacks, both in melee and ranged. So even if we have a decent amount of strength, it still kind of sucks, because strength determines the penetration of the attacks and the damage the attacks do. But if we cannot get a single hit to land, then the strength is completely worthless. So I'm going to push that up to like 15, and let's push up the strength with the remaining points, I think. That way we have a fairly balanced build. I'm sort of looking to mostly be using melee attacks, but we're going to also carry a rifle around with the class that I'm thinking. So I think this is good enough. This is probably not optimal. Like I said, I am not a guru when it comes to this game, but let's go with that. Okay, and now we get to pick our class. So these are actually different if you are a mutant or a Truekin. As a Truekin, we pick basically one of these 3 arcologies. So these are basically like communities of humans, Truekin humans, that have sort of survived the apocalypse without any kind of mutation and stuff like that. And we basically get to pick one of these 3 arcologies and our caste in the arcology. So I think a good option here is the Praetorian. Basically we get additional strength and toughness, so that's good for, you know, staying alive. Plus we get long blade proficiency and decent starting equipment. I think we start out with a shield, a sword, and also a desert rifle. The plus 15 cold resistance not going to really account to much, I think, because I don't think we're going to encounter anything that attacks us with cold damage, and we're probably not going to run into any cold environments either, but, you know, it's a bonus. Another thing that I've sort of liked is the artifacts. That's plus 3 intelligence, but we're not really focusing on intelligence, so that would basically be just improving an aspect of our character that is already pretty poor, at least poor in comparison to my usual builds. But the deploy turret and repair and tinker abilities are pretty good. But I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to go with the Praetorian. Another one that I've also sometimes played is the Horticulturist, because they can harvest stuff from the wild, which is decent. Yeah, I think we're going to go with the Praetorian, because that's the one that I know the best. Plus, I know that the Praetorian can at least get through the starting areas, and we might die very easily, so maybe I should not just rant too much here and instead actually get into the game. So this is our character. We are going to be a Truekin Praetorian humanoid, and I think this is decent. We might be able to make this work. So let's start the game. And my name is, of course, Samsai. Okay, there we go. On the 12th of Ulu-Ut, you arrive at the oasis hamlet of Joppa along the far rim of Mograyi, the Great Salt Desert. Around you, moisture farmers tend to groves of Viridian water wine. I can't read. I can barely read. There are huts wrought from rock salt and brine stalk. On the horizon, Kud's jungles strangle chrome steeples and rusted archways to the earth. Further and beyond, the fabled spindle rises above the fray, and pierces the cloud ribbon sky. So we start out the game in this place called Yopa, and this is basically the beginning village, and we're going to get some quests from here, and we're also going to do some trading here. So basically, the guys that live in this little settlement, they are water wine farmers, and they basically tend to these things here. That's the water wine. That's basically like a very, very low-level food source. And we can actually harvest that ourselves if we have the harvest ability, which we don't. But I'm planning on picking up harvest and also butcher, because we're going to have to deal with food. Let's take a look at what we have for now. So this is our inventory. This is the stuff that we currently have in our inventory. As opposed to these things that we currently have in our equipment. So these are the items we have equipped. So we start out because we are a Truekin, and we get a bit of a bonus to our starting equipment. So we have a chainmail armor, we have a Praetorian's cloak, steel longsword, desert rifle. Apparently we have a chem cell in our left hand, which we are probably going to unequip because we don't need that chem cell to be there, and leather boots. Basically the chem cell is just a power source, but we don't really need to have that equipped all the time. And we carry 14 food cubes, so that's our current food. We're going to have to get more because that's going to run out soon. We also have a steel shield, and Hulk honey injector, love injector, rubber gum injector, salve injector, skulk injector, and sphinx salt injector. These are basically our, like, potions, so to speak. And then we have water containers. Water in this game, very important. It's both the money, and it's also something that you need to drink every now and then. So, first things first, we are going to want some stuff to sell. And we're going to do what every little smart adventurer does, which is we're going to steal stuff. This is basically my, like always, my first move. Oh my god, these guys have even a Borderlands revolver. That's a really, really good drop. These things are completely random, as you might imagine. So we're going to just steal everything. And as long as you keep the doors shut, they won't know anything about it. They won't be any wiser. And we can just grab everything we want from here. Leather armor, copper nuggets, good stuff. And yeah, the villagers, as long as you keep the doors closed, they don't actually care. You just need to remember to actually close the damn doors, because otherwise they will attack you if they see you. Or these are the wine wafers, so those are the kind of food that you get from the water wine. And an unburnt torch and a buckler. Most of this stuff is just stuff we're going to sell, but it's still good stuff to have. Actually, we don't even have... Yeah, we don't have a whole lot of ammo for our rifle. Just notice that our rifle is loaded with 3 lead slugs, and we're going to have to get some more. Luckily we can get stuff from this guy here. So this is Tam, the Dromad Merchant. We can ask what kind of a creature this guy is. So, welcome human, what do you desire? I need to know what kind of a creature you are. I'm a Dromad human, Assault Strider. Good stuff. So let's trade with this guy. Because we now have a whole lot of stuff that we can sell for a decent amount of money as well, because we got the Borderlands revolver, which is something that I usually don't get, because that's actually a decent missile weapon. So we can sell that stuff, we can sell the leather armor, the sap mask. I could even sell the scrap. I don't think I'm going to need it right now. I'm not going to, I'm not in any kind of a rush to get the Tinker abilities. So I might as well sell those, and I can also sell the copper nuggets. I think the thing with these trade goods here is that they basically, the trade goods are a good way to carry money around, because I think they weigh less than, you know, the amount of money they are worth. The amount of water, rather, they are worth. We're going to get like 62 grams of water from selling those. Which is a good way for me to gather some stuff from here that are actually worth it, like the lead slugs. Those are basically just ammo. I could also get some star apples. Even the wafers, I could get them as well. The problem with the wafers is that they are actually not really worth a whole lot, as in you eat them very quickly and they are not that fulfilling. There are also some weapons here, but I'm not interested, and I'm also not going to buy the musket because I have a desert rifle, which is significantly better. I could consider selling some of the injectors that I don't need, like this skulk injector here, but I think I'm going to hold on to that because there are actually other things that I need it for. So is there actually anything here that I may want? Actually, the bandages is something that I might want to grab, because we're going to eventually start bleeding at some point. Eventually, I mean, something is going to hurt us, something is going to cause us to bleed, and we are going to need those bandages at that point. There are actually some really cool items here, like the plate mail. I would really love to, you know, pick that up, but it costs like 200, and I don't have that kind of money. But yeah, I think I'm good with this kind of stuff. We don't really need to buy any new weapons or anything like that, because we have very good starting equipment. So Tam is going to have to give us 24 drams of water. So we have actually made some money from that. So we can just get on our merry way. I'm also going to pick up a couple of quests from here. One is from looking at this, so I pressed L to look, and we're going to take a look at the Shrine to Iram, the Dukish Sorrow. Most of these things are actually very, very random, such as the text here. So the shrine depicts a significant event from the life of ancient Sultan Iram. Deep in the wilds of Arboretum Precinct, Ikabakish, Iram stumbled upon a clan of robots performing a secret ritual. Because of her mirrored eyes, they accepted her into their fold and taught her their secrets. I think we're going to get... yeah, you discovered the location of the Arboretum of Ekabakish. And we have noted that in our journal, and we now have a quest to visit that place. And we also have gathered a piece of Sultan history. So many of the text pieces in this game, such as like books and also statues, and there are also painted items like weapons and things like that that have like writing on them. I think it's like randomized. For example, in that particular thing, it was a clan of robots, but it could have easily been a clan of frogs, for example. So basically everything is highly randomized in this game, including the lore, funnily enough. Let's talk to this person. So this is Mehmet. Live and drink, friend, may you find shade in Joppa. What can you tell me about Joppa? You would be wise to speak with Elder Irudad. Look for his hut to the north. I'm also in search of work. Some critters are eating our water wine. Farok claims he saw one slinking around a wine patch. Ugly little thing, he says. Pale white, 8 legs, and an ear-splitting wine. I noticed a bit of red dirt in the water wine pool, the same we find in the soil at a nearby cave to the north we call Red Rock. Travel to Red Rock and kill as many of these critters as you can. Bring back the corpse of one, too. Elder Irudad will reward your efforts. I will accept. We're actually not going to do that. Well, we are going to do that, but not yet. One problem with this game, and I'm not really sure if it's such a problem. I mean, you kind of have to expect this kind of stuff with roguelikes, is the beginning of this game is really damn difficult, and the first quest that they give you is something that you should absolutely not run off and do immediately. Instead, we're going to talk to Argive. Tensile strength of Reblon, but lacking in dino elasticity. Rethro threading the M-band would probably... Oh, I didn't notice you there. That's because I was ignoring you. Noting a trace yield of synthetic linseed solvent. Excellent. Unexpected deviation from the clank constant. Must you disturb me? What are you, some sort of treasure hunter? At the very least, make yourself useful and bring me a knick-knack from one of the caves. I may reward you. Where can I find them? There are caves everywhere, you dolt. This is Cod. The Rust Wells just east of here. Try the Rust Wells just east of here. I will return. So this guy wants knickknacks, which is another name for artifacts. And we just happen to have some artifacts lying around. All of the tonics here are classified as artifacts. And I'm actually going to take a look at these. I'm not going to apply them. You're immune to confusing attacks you peer into the near future. You may revert to the point in time at which you first used this drug at the end of the duration. That's actually pretty damn strong. So that means I can revert back to like 18 rounds ago. So that might be a good way for me to try out something insane and then just walk away without the consequences. So I'm not going to sell that. I'm also not going to sell the salve injectors, because the salve injectors are basically healing items. The skulk injector is another thing. Their movement speed is increased by 40% at night and underground, but reduced by 20% in the daylight. Actually, the +4 agility at night and underground is pretty decent. The -3 agility in daylight is You can see the dark radius 8. You suffer double damage from light-based attacks. I don't think there are that many. Usually I get rid of the skulk injectors because they are a little bit situational, because you kind of need to be underground for them to make sense. Otherwise you're just taking a debuff. You feel unusually amorous for half a day, during which time you'll fall in love with the first thing you look at. If you inject someone else, they'll fall in love with you and follow you around for 3,600 rounds. There's a 4% failure rate for every level higher they are than you. Applying one tonic while under the effects of... basically don't apply more than one tonic. It's basically, that's what the thing is saying. The Hulk Honey Injector is also a little bit situational. Basically you suffer damage each round. You have this applied, but it's like +9 strength, so it's like really awesome when it comes to like attacking things. But you also take damage, and because you cannot really mix things like the Hulk Honey Injector and Salve, it's a little bit situational as well. Kind of requires, like, if you're really desperate and you need to get something killed, then it might be worth it. But in this case, I think the Hulk Honey Injector might be like more trouble than it's worth. I could also sell it for a decent amount of money, but in this case, I'm going to give it to Argive. These are a little bit like these. Giving these tonics here, not necessarily the best idea. Usually you can maybe have some like other weird artifacts that are really not worth it, and you might be able to give those away. But in this case I don't, so I'm just going to give the Love Injector and the Hulk Honey Injector to Argive, and we're going to get 5 hit points from that, so that's awesome. That's why you should always do this if you just have the artifacts. Okay, I totally didn't read that. Basically, okay, let me explain. I'm on the cusp of a grand discovery. When I'm done assembling the weird wire conduits, you'll be able to speak to anyone from here to Caiaphas. First though, I'm going to need some copper wire, as much as you can find, at least 200 feet. You should be able to scavenge enough from the rust wells and nearby caves. So this is the first time we're actually going to head out to the wastes. So we're going to have to gather 200 feet of copper wire. And basically, if we zoom out by pressing minus, we get the world view. So this is the actual world map of COD. There are many things here, including, and this is actually very good, here's the Arboretum of Ekabakish. That's completely random. Some of these places are random, some of them are not. For example, the location of Yopa is not random. Here's Red Rock, the place we are sort of supposed to go to at some point. And here are the 3 rust wells. There are also other important places. Here's Kyakukia. That's a very difficult name for a village. We're going to get there eventually. Another place is the Grid Gate right here. There's also this place all the way here, the 6 Days Stilt. The 6 Days Stilt rises from the dunes like a petrified kraken. Is that kraken? Kraken? Kraken corpse? Bearing down upon the vacant flats, undamaged. Yeah. Also, one thing that we actually should do regarding this 6 Days Stilt is if we can find a priest around here. I think the priest is... I'm actually traveling in the wrong direction. The priest is all the way down here. I think they might be trying to, you know, flee the town. Wanderer often of the salt, hear me. To the north and the west, through the great salt desert, the 6 Days Stilt splits the earth in two. Seek there the grandeur of Shekinah. First among fathers, release yourself from the burden that Chrome bears on your sickly flesh. Go now. We could ask a lot about the 6 Days Stilt, but, you know, do you really trust the word of a zealot? However, I do accept the quest. So, now we have a quest to visit the 6 Days Stilt. Very difficult to get to. A couple of reasons. First of all, actually, I should not be walking around, I should be looking around. All of this is salt dunes. It's nothing but salt. All this way. And up here, desert canyons, hills. Basically, the good areas are the green areas, like the salt marshes here. These are not particularly hospitable, but they are hospitable in comparison to the salt dunes. There's also, here's some jungle, and here are some flower fields. These are decent places. The salt dunes, awful places. There is nothing there to eat. So if we ever want to get to the 6 Days Stilt, we are going to have to prepare in terms of food, because we're actually going to die from lack of food faster than lack of water. Because we're going to be able to get ourselves plenty of water, but we're not going to be able to get ourselves a lot of food. And food is really the problem here. I've had like at least 5 characters die from starvation or starvation-induced panic. Basically, I started panicking because I was running out of food and then didn't think straight, and then I ran into some kind of a creature that killed me or something. So let's head towards the rust wells. And we're going to not go into these places. There are dungeons associated with each one, but we're going to first look at the outside area. And we actually do encounter our first enemies here. So these guys. So these are just Snapjaw scavengers. Apparently this guy is equipped with a flaming iron short sword, so even though it says easy, this guy possibly has the ability to set us on fire. Yeah, I'm not down for that, so I'm just going to reload my rifle and I'm just going to mark this target and shoot. And they are dead. So yeah, these are the first enemies that we are going to really encounter here. Plus, one thing, I think it's daytime, so, because I can see, let's actually remove the chem cell and let's actually equip the shield. The shield should keep us alive a little bit longer. Apparently this guy was carrying a lacquered black robe, also a bronze short sword. The bronze equipment is not really all that worthwhile, but this might actually be. So this is lacquered, this item cannot rust. I'm not sure how you would manage to get black robes to rust, but sure, I'll pick that up. Basically, items that have modifiers like this flaming short sword and the lacquered black robes, they tend to have significantly more value than their base items. So here's some wire, we can pick that up. So now we have 10 feet of copper wire. The reason we are not traveling into the dungeons is because the dungeons even here are somewhat dangerous. Also, those are Snapjaw, I think, hunters, yes. They seem to want to shoot at me with their bows. They're probably not going to be able to, but if I take some cover here, I should be able to just take them by surprise behind the corner here. They die. Iron Dagger, I'm not really into that. The daggers are not also worth a whole lot. Maybe I should pick them up anyway and just sell them. But the bronze items, unless they are like long swords, I am, or rather two-handed swords, I'm not going to bother with them. Slender studded leather armor, however, is very good. I think slender means that it's like lighter, and studded means that it's like protects more. Covered in metal studs. Actually, it's not even a modifier, it's just slender. This item weighs less than normal, which is good. I think it's just sort of a slightly different piece of armor to the leather armor, which is also a thing.